Howdy, howdy. I have no idea who's going to come in here, but we will see. I am wondering if I can turn. Hold on a sec. Let's see here. Let's see what happens. If I turn it this way. No. See, maybe if I turn my phone, that might actually work. Aha! Look at that. There we go. All right. Just a little adjustment here as I maneuver the camera. Thank you for your patience. All right. Let's see. It was not supposed to do this because I already had it set up, and for some reason it did not obey by my rules. All right, there we go. Okay. Welcome to the live session. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm currently sketching this creature, and as promised, I'm going to show you how to put details on something that has already been established as far as anatomy goes. Now, when it comes to anatomy, all the bone structure and everything is pretty much figured out underneath. Let me turn this light off here. It's probably not glaring. There we go. All right. Okay. There we go. So, what the heck am I drawing? This is actually for a client. So I'm letting you in on a little bit of sketching that I've been doing over the weekend because this project is due tomorrow night. So you get to see me finish it. Now, how am I going to be layering all of the veins and the hair and the scales and everything on top of this sucker? As you can see, I've done a lot of the layering already in certain parts, especially for the bicep. Got some of these spiky places going on here. This is not a human. This is a wretched lieutenant from hell. And I was told from the brief to make it hulking, make it disgusting, and scary human features. But I actually cannot make it a demon, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so to cover some of the questions that people have been asking me is, how do I add detail on top of areas that are already shaded? Let me show you. So first, I am using a 4B, and then I'm using a black Prismacolor pencil. And you know what? I really hate that light that's shining on top of my sketch. Let's see if I can experiment here. I'm going to turn this light this way, and then I'm going to turn it on and see what happens. Okay, that's better. It took care of some of the shadow. Yeah, there we go. All right, we'll see what happens. But we're going to focus on the area of the arm. See if I can zoom in here for you. Probably not. Right around in here. So we're going to be adding details and layering it. I'm going to be using black Prismacolor and 4B. All right, first things first, 4B. This area right here was not smudged by my finger, but it was about maybe 5 or 6 different passes with both pencils. So you got like 8 total. And what I'm doing is I'm brushing across areas like this, and I'm holding in the gap, which means that all the pencil strokes are close together. And the closer they are together, the better your pencil marks will be. Now, I like to turn my actual sketchbook because my hand produces certain good lines at certain angles, and I don't like to mess that up. So what I mean by that is, instead of twerking my hand each way, then I'll just do this. I'll just turn the sketchbook. So if I turn the sketchbook, it'll allow me to hit that area in a new angle, but my arm is still moving comfortably. Another tip when you're laying down your foundation like this, foundation as in graphite coating, that don't push harder as you're adding new layers. Instead, you want to make sure that you keep the same pressure throughout. Okay, and you're going to crisscross all of the different directions. Make sure you finish the direction. Okay, so if you're going to do it, make sure you commit. Okay, it really helps to commit. The other thing is, whenever you're doing passes like this, your hand will smudge some of the work. So you have to make sure that, like for me, I draw actually on my pinky. I keep my palm off of the paper. The reason I do that is because we have a tendency to erase spots and then we brush it away with our palm. And what that does is the oils and everything else in our hand kind of scrapes against the graphite. And then all of a sudden you have a really dirty sketch. So I like to keep my hand as far away from the actual drawing as possible. I'm holding this pencil from way back like this. So I'll hold it off the page and then I'll just lightly start layering on at different angles where I want the graphite to go. And then this is my trick, and this is something that I've been doing for years. You take black Prismacolor, all right? Black Prismacolor has wax in it. It's not the Verithin, it's the actual colored pencil. And then what you do is, without applying hard pressure, you're going to shade this the same way as the graphite. You're going to go across in one direction and you're going to cover the graphite with the black Prismacolor. Like that. You're going to see it's already starting to look smooth. And then you just turn it like this. And then you do the same thing at this angle. And you do that for about, I would say, 4 to 5 different passes. And then all of a sudden you're getting a nice coating. That wax keeps the graphite down. So you can do this and nothing happens. You actually can't smudge it. It's a really cool trick. You don't have to spray it with fixative, which is like an archaic way of, keeping pencil down. Although I will say fixative is very good for keeping charcoal down. So if you're a charcoal lover, by all means do it. That's fine. But me, I don't draw with charcoal, and you can actually get pretty dark with 4B. So it's pretty nice. All right, let's work on this area for the muscle. And if you're wondering what I'm actually using, check it out. I'm using this from 3D Total. I get these all the time from 3D Total. If ever I collaborate with them, the Ecrochet, I got this. I have the female version, and I also have a horse. So I want to get the cat, and I want to get some other animals too, like the bear and the rhino. But I'm looking at this sucker constantly, all the time for like muscular anatomy tips and finding out like where I was wrong, so I can see where the femur bone would go, and good old fashioned teardrop muscle. This guy's got pretty big legs, so we'll see how it goes. But essentially, I'm keeping this very, very light. Okay, I'm not putting in a lot of detail at all yet. I just want to cover the area first, so I'm actually going to go down by the knee like this. This is going to take a lot of patience when you guys draw, because there's a tendency to want to jump straight into details. Just make sure that you give yourself the time to lay down that foundation. Also, I want to say, and it's something that I am going to invest in, I will have a better camera for my live feeds, okay? I'm using my cell phone now, and there's only so much I can do with my phone, okay? So just please bear with me if it looks a little grainy. I'm trying to make it look as good as possible so you can see details. But I'm looking in to get a camera very, very soon. And then speaking of live streaming, I will be doing this once a week now. And that is something that has been on my to-do list for my channel. I'm at the point now where it's growing fast enough that I'm going to have a good audience for my live. Because there are people that need live feeds, but they don't want to watch long form content. So we'll see. All I want to do is just teach people, because there's a lot that I want to get out. I got like a 30-something years of drawing experience, and I want to tell everybody. I want to tell all of you about the job industry, how to get, a game studio job, how to land freelance, how to charge the correct amount of money, how to draw creatures, especially, all that good stuff. Uh, all right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just laying down a really good, solid coating. Okay, so this is my local tone. Hey, Senior Bob. Oh, you got a yeah, the female version. I I do wish that they would release a gorilla also. I think they will, just because it's such an iconic animal. Um, Shoot, if they released a turtle, I would be ecstatic because they never do that. And also, imagine if they did an insect. Like, who does that? So I don't know. Hey, Rob, man, Rob, I miss the days of Creature Design Workshop. Oh my gosh, or not Creature Design Workshop, the ca.org, man, all the good competitions we had. I was just thinking of my mentorship and it just like slipped in my mind. I really miss that. But anyway, like what I'm doing now is I'm laying down the foundation for all of the the musculature. Now, if you notice, like I already have the outline of the kneecaps. Okay, so I did the kneecap over here. Yeah, Creature of the Week was the bomb. I have the kneecap over here. It's kind of an awkward kneecap yet because I'm still adding values in this area, but essentially you have all the correct muscle laid out for the leg so far. So when you look at areas like this up here, it looks insane just because of all the layering and all the details and stuff, and I'm gonna correct that. Okay, so let's jump into this leg, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna try to turn down this. Actually, turn that off. That actually does look better now that I turned that light off. And now it's kind of yellow, so we'll see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's get this in here. All right, so there's going to be some very, very subtle nuances of shadow that's going to be showing up on top of the skin. And since I have that coating of graphite in there, all I have to do is push just a little bit, and it's going to add shadow and texture on top of the graphite that has already been laid down. This is more of an advanced way to draw. So this is after you've like triple checked the anatomy. All right, because if you don't triple check the anatomy, then when you shade and it's incorrect, you're just drawing attention to the incorrect anatomy. All right, now this dude, I guess he's a dude, this demon, it's not human. Okay, so there's going to be some how should I put this? Very weird shapes here. I'm making the kneecap bigger. The head is a little smaller. It's kind of like Doomsday when Doomsday fought Hulk, but for the most part, it is male anatomy. Let's see here. I'm also not trying to make him too ripped, so all of the lines that I'm drawing with this pencil are very, very light. So you'll notice I'm still keeping my fingers pretty far away from the end of the pencil. The last thing you want to do is draw with your fingers really close up, because what this does is it forces you to go into minute detail, but also push the graphite straight down. And when you push it straight down, it makes you push harder. You can't relax your fingers to draw loose. I think that's what plagues a lot of concept artists when they're trying to draw thumbnails, is that if you simply just relax the hold, put your pinky down like this to guide your hand, you're gonna have much more control over your pencil. All right. If you notice, like I'm still going in different directions on this thigh, and as I keep building up values and such, it I'm going to be going crisscrossing more and more sections. Now, the other trick is like let's say you guys do start shading in some muscle with some very light to dark values barely showing up. Look at the line that the muscle actually produces, and you want to fade graphite off of the edge of that line, or else it'll almost look like it's still not finished. All right, so you need to be careful. Here's what I mean. So let's say that I want to go in here right there where the hip flexors are, and I want to fade off that shadow that I put in. So I'm going to shade closer to his loincloth, I guess you could say, the loincloth area. And I'm also going to bring that shadow down here because all of this is eventually going to be in shadow, especially with this over here. Okay, that's going to be done by the black Prismacolor. But I'm going to make sure that I fade that off evenly. So I'm going to bring it down like this. I'm going to keep going. So this is when patience really comes in because you have to take into account there's a lot of muscle going on in here. And also, there's going to be some areas where some fat deposits are going to sit, especially on the good old-fashioned teardrop muscle. So you're going to have to draw kind of like this, okay? So whenever you're doing character design for your portfolio, these little nuances are going to set your designs apart from everything else. And that is like the fat deposit that sits on top of the muscle has to show up, and you have to define it by value. Okay, so when you define it by value, then it's going to be more realistic because it's going to look like there's weight to it. So you got to apply the same thing over here. Now what happens is on this side, okay, you're going to have the muscle come down, and I'm just going to lightly outline where the fat deposit's going to sit on that end. Okay, and then what's going to happen is it's going to fade off this way. I mean, you can see it. Like if you go to the gym, you can see people that have nice legs, okay, male or female, doesn't matter. You can see that muscle on both sides just sit on top of the kneecap. This whole area is really, really challenging if you don't know that anatomy underneath with all of those crazy tendons happening. It's nuts. Yes, less shrink wrapping. You're absolutely right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly put in some shadow on the outside of the muscle right there. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on this bottom part. Just enough to indicate where things will be sitting. Also, hey, if you guys have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them as I go. Okay. I'm very used to be asked like a lot of questions while teaching. Those of you that don't know, I taught university drawing for like 4 or 5 years. I've been teaching for 10, but I taught in college. You know, it was my alma mater, University of Cincinnati. So I was teaching there, industrial design actually, because that was my major. So I'm very used to just, you know, answering as many questions as I can. If I don't get to you, I'm sorry. Now I'm slowly putting in some values here. I don't want to get too in depth on this because right now it kind of just looks like Play-Doh. So I'm just going to leave it there. I want to work on this area up here. Now, because this is so close to the clothing, we're going to call it clothing, not a loincloth, because I think it's a little bit more sophisticated than that. I'm just going to put, and I'm still using the 4B. I'm just going to put some more values laying right in there. Now notice I'm not trying to make this guy super ripped, so you're not going to see a lot of like muscle striations or anything like that. Instead, I will show where certain parts of the muscles will be flexing. That's a big difference. So like in here is where you'll see muscles flex when you step down. Okay, and especially on the side over here. So you can add some values in on that. This whole area, all of their skin, there's going to be veins and wrinkles and who knows what else. Like, I don't know what I'm going to put on there. But essentially, it's going to be pretty cool. I also have to be very careful on how I treat all of the tendons meeting up in this area. All right, because the hip is a very strange area indeed. All right, so we got that. Now, if you notice, when you start applying all of these detail on top of the skin, and there's already a dark area, but you know there's a shadow within the dark area, that's why you have to keep everything even. Okay, so we have our lighter tones here, and then we have our slightly darker tones, and then this is where the black Prismacolor comes in. So you want to make sure that your pencil is very sharp, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to lightly start putting in some values close to the clothing, like this. And with black Prismacolor, I like just running the pencil down like this, and I'll keep the pencil tilted. But you got to make sure that it is pretty dark right there where it's touching the skin because very, very little light is actually getting in underneath that. We're going to fade the edge of this off so it doesn't look so like cookie cutter. Okay, we'll be able to layer that no problem. Here we go down here. I'm going to outline this more. But as I outline it, I don't want that thick black outline or else it'll look cartoony, and I don't want that. Instead, I'm going to take this pencil and I'm just going to slowly start to fade off from that dark line back onto the skin until it's even. And it might take a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Okay, it's looking a little better. There's like a little black spot up there. So I think what I'm going to have to do, and the thing is, guys, when you put down black Prismacolor, it's not going anywhere. All right. So we'll see if we can build off from that area. And now I'm going to have to get in a little bit closer than I would have liked. Okay, that's looking a little better. That is kind of dark. So I'm eventually going to have to fade that off because it looks like he's being stabbed by his clothing. So like all of it will be evened off, or evened up, I should say. So I'm just going to run this darkness down here. There we go. Okay, so once I have that, now I'm going to take my graphite and I'm going to go back over that area once again in a couple different directions. So what this is doing is it's fading off the shadow back onto his leg. And you want to make sure that that's even too. This is why pushing lightly and building up the values is so, so important. Like once you do all of your foundation work, like all of your anatomy and such, all of these details and all of the skin stuff that you're doing, it's much easier than you think because the leg work is already done. I just have to make sure that I don't push hard because I can put some unwanted strokes in there and I'm just going to have to fade those strokes off. Okay. All right, so now that's looking a little better, but this edge might be a little too harsh still. So what we can do is we could go to the very edge of this, take the graphite and just fade that off. Push just a little harder than I normally would like. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So you could see that's starting to fade off because I can start playing with where those muscles actually will show up. Okay, like right here, because you do have that muscle that runs directly by the teardrop. It's pretty cool, actually. Human anatomy is pretty crazy. All right, so we got this. There we go. And then we're going to fade this off. This one is actually flexed a little bit more, so we'll keep that so it shows up. Okay, I don't really want to put any more on that part because what I want to do next is put some detail in this area, like right there. So what I've been doing is this creature obviously does not have a regular human left arm. Instead, it's something that it could just beat anything with to a bloody pulp. I've been layering a lot of different sections off. So like it looks like coral. It's a very deadly arm. So at the end here, you can see it's like almost like a crab. I'll pull it up there. It's almost like a crab, but not quite. And I've just been having fun layering this sucker. All right, I'm going to try an experiment. I'm actually going to try another light, see what that looks like when I shine it on there. All right, I'm going to turn down that. Oh, there's the color. I'm going to add some warmth in there. Okay. Again, sorry if this looks a little grainy. Yeah, don't like that. I'm turning that off. Okay. Now, let's add some in here. So there's going to be different layers of ridges in here. Some are going to look like volcanic rock. Others are going to have little crevices and spikes, but there's going to be a hell of a lot of detail happening within this. And I want to make sure that all the layering is good. So I'm going to go over that area, and I'm holding my pencil way back here. Okay, patience again, patience again. Also, the thing that people forget is, let's say that you're drawing and you accidentally put something in that you did not want there. And it could be something as simple as, if I don't know, if your coffee spills, if water spills, if there's dirt, if something grimy and disgusting is on your pencil and you draw over top of it and it does something weird with the graphite, see what you can do with, adding that into your actual design, because you'd be surprised at those little imperfections and how they actually work. I remember seeing this one Kickstarter where this guy would just deliberately spill coffee on paper, and then however the coffee stain would dry, he would turn that into a creature. It was pretty cool. And I forget the name of that Kickstarter. All right, so now, you know what? I'm going to try. I tried tapping the screen to see if that'll zoom in on the details anymore. I don't know if it did. Okay, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe you could see that a little better. All right, so I'm just going to keep layering on it under here. But even though this isn't skin, it is part of his body. And whenever I shade, whenever I'm working in little teeny areas like this, I like putting my pencil in small circles, and I'll just go in small circles. The reason I do that is because it allows me to shade an entire circular area so it's smooth on all sides. Like if I just do a streak, just like one stroke with a pencil, for some reason it just doesn't feel right. So I don't know why that happens, but it just happens. I just had an idea too, so I'm just going to be like floating back and forth. I think one other thing that I wanted to show you guys is how to add veins. I think that'll be something really good to show. In order to add veins to your sketch, you have to make sure that the values are as smooth as can be before any vein happens. Because all of that graphite and all of the stuff that's down on the paper already, that's going to be the tone that's going to be surrounding your veins or cracks in the skin, etc. So in most pectoral muscles, you have that really cool vein that shoots across right here. Since he has this huge, gigantic, weird thing across his shoulder, that's not going to be possible. However, I'm going to lightly, just ever so lightly, let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if this is going to work on my phone. I'm going to keep it there. Okay. Because I'm also simultaneously looking at this on my desktop to see how that looks for you guys. Okay, so that's not too bad. I'm going to put a vein running across his pec. Very, very light canal. And I'm just going to put that. Now, am I done? No. But I'm going to show you what you can do to make that super realistic looking. You're going to take your pencil and you're going to go underneath that line and you're going to do small circles. And I'm going to show you why. Those circles are going to lay the cast shadow that the vein is going to have while poking up from the skin. Look what's happening already. So I'm pushing downward, down the pec and down the shoulder, and I'm fading that off. Now there's going to be some areas where I want the vein to actually pop up higher because it's going over a muscle striation. So like here, for the primary pectoral muscle that stretches across to the clavicle, you're going to make that darker. And there's a crevice here, so you're going to make that darker. Now it looks like that vein is really going to come off, but you have to fade that off into the pec. So you're just going to go like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil and you're very, very lightly, make sure this is sharp. So I got to sharpen my pencil. All right. So then you're going to draw on top of that vein, add some thickness to the vein, and you're going to run it across that pec very, very lightly. Try to follow your original design. All right, so now you're starting to see this weird thing showing up. You're not done yet, but let's say for the sake of this thing not being human, I'm going to make another vein pop off of that almost like a stick. So it's very, very lightly drawn right here. You can barely see that branch coming off. I'm going to go back to the original one and I'm just going to lightly. Oh, by the way I'm shading is I'm doing lines going down like this. You can, when you're that close on details, you can do that. But for sake of control, I'm just going to put it down like this. And it's going to run across that part of the pec. And I'm rolling my pencil off because this part of the pec is round. All right, so once we have this, I'm going to go underneath that vein again that's going upwards towards the clavicle. And I'm going to fade that shadow off. Okay, and then this part isn't showing up. So this is where values really come in. So you got to know how to contrast those veins. All right, so there you have it. There's a vein popping up. And everything's taken care of because the pec was already shaded in. So anything that I'm adding in now is just kind of like an icing on the cake. I mean, super ripped dudes like Ronnie Coleman and Phil Heath and all those bodybuilders. I mean, they got veins everywhere. So I can jump in here. Actually, I might. That'd be kind of fun. I could jump in here and see if I can pop out another vein real quick. I'm just fading off in both directions. All right, and then let's see what I can do with the neck, because I still have to define that trapezius muscle up here. All right. Okay, that's kind of fun. Yeah, that this dude is definitely ripped. Okay, so I mean, that's how you would layer it. That's how I did this vein on the bicep. You know that gigantic vein that pops up when somebody's like flexing their bicep, right? And also, I think the other thing I want to do is maybe add in some imperfections on the pec right here. Okay, because this strange growth, the spiky growth on his shoulder is growing into his pec, but you can see that muscle underneath. So all of the layering that's happening on top has to follow that muscle. So I'm just going to roll that in. Okay, like this. Oh, and the other thing, you notice I have not erased once. And that's because erasing is a very bad habit. It's a very bad habit because you end up designing by eraser and you're not designing by your pencil anymore. One of the greatest things about doing creatures, especially organic creatures, is that there's so much creative freedom for you to just draw whatever. Like you could screw up in an area you thought should look a certain way, like a hair, a spike, a fang, tentacle, whatever. And then it turns out that, oh, you just turn it into some other limb or, something really cool like that. I mean, for this, when I was drawing this guy, the client just said, this thing has to be really evil, really large, not really human, but it has to have scary human features because it's definitely not from our realm. And dark fantasy, I'm just like, all right, let's see what happens. So I just started doing it. So like up here, I'm going to have to define a trapezius just a little better. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, I'm going to move this down a little bit. All right, there you go. So there's the head. Okay, so there's still a lot of, muscle definitions that I have to have, especially the sternocleidomastoid muscle that runs. Basically, it's the muscle that allows you to turn your head so you can actually look places. So I'm going to have to put some details on that one. But now what I'm going to do is, even though I don't want to smear my drawing, I'm going to keep a piece of paper handy. It's just a white piece of paper, and I'm going to put it over my drawing. And then what that'll allow me to do is to rest my palm on my paper. So then I can start putting in some more details. Because what happens is that the area of the clavicle right here, there's a lot of sunken in parts because muscle, doesn't exist, and there's parts where blood vessels have to come through. So I'm going to put some shading in there. Building up values like that is also very important because those ligaments. Senior Bob asks, who do you think will win Mr. Olympia this year? Oh, Bumstead. Easy. Nobody can beat Chris Bumstead. Sorry. Chris Bumstead, I mean, the guy's obviously probably juicing, but he looks awesome. Anyway, so I'm putting these muscles in, and I'm also layering on, I forget the name of that muscle. Shame on me. But it's when you, how do I put this? It's kind of when you just put your jaws back and you kind of stretch your neck out and you can see all those crazy muscular lines going across your neck. It's those anger muscles. You know, Bruce Banner knows about that. He turns into Hulk. Up here, I want some more of those spiky things to show up, so I'm probably just going to fade off some into the distance. This is when atmospheric perspective really comes in handy. That's another lesson that I really want to get into. Atmospheric perspective is one of my favorite things of all time. I absolutely love it. That's why I make my creatures and all my sketches look like it's ghosting into the background, just because it's so much fun to do that. I'm still drawing with my 4B pencil. What I'm doing here is since light is traveling around the trapezius muscles, okay, there's going to be a core shadow running across the top. So in order for contrast to happen and the core shadow to happen, I'm darkening on the edges of the lines, and I'm fading it off very lightly into the body, like that. Same thing's going to happen out here. So these are going to get darker treatment since they're closer to us, and I want there to be contrast between the skin and those spiky things poking up. So you can see what I did. This is another really cool layering technique that you can use on your creatures. I'm going to put one right on the pec here. So let's say that I want a strange, I don't know, skin imperfection to poke out towards us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke it. I'm going to draw darker, almost just like I'm drawing a gnat. And then very, very subtly, is that a word? I don't know. I'm going to fade that off into the pec. And then I'm also going to fade off the edges on the other side. And I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to add circles. And then I'm going to put a really dark spot right there. So now it looks like those two things are popping up. And notice the contrast between the pec and that layering. Okay, so that's another really cool technique to do. I can obviously just move back and forth here, kind of working on the core shadow. This is the cast shadow from the head going down onto the pec. I could probably add a little bit more shadow right there at the sternum. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of really cool stuff that can happen in this abdomen area. So I'll show you another technique that I like doing is whenever I have abs on a creature or a humanoid creature, the cool thing about abdominal muscles is that there is no absolutely perfect 12 pack. Like all of those abdominal muscles and all the obliques and the latissimus back here, nothing is ever perfect. So you can add some lumps, you can add some wrinkles and such, and it'll still look good. So what I'm doing is, since the light source is coming from above and it's coming down, I'm going to put all of these lines in lightly where I think skin could be stretching, but only adding shadow on underneath that line, because it looks like part of the skin is actually poking up. So you can see the layering happen already. And the reason it immediately looks realistic is because I already laid a good foundation on the abdominal muscles beforehand. That's why it's, that's why it looks realistic. All right. So like under here, I can do the same thing. When there's muscular men or muscular people for that matter, and you got your pectoral muscles, the skin underneath tends to fold sometimes, and like there's weight. So all these pecs coming down, there's weight. So you got to make sure that you're showing the weight. And I don't know how old this creature is. So, could be 800 years old, 50,000 years old. I don't know. It's not human. And the skin could be wrinkly. It's like a vampire, They're young, but they're also old, and they can move, but they're also kind of weak. All right, so there's some definition in there. Um, yeah, and then like there's other places where I can add in some core shadows, like over here for the abs. It's crazy now that I'm doing this drawing live. I'm seeing things that I wasn't seeing before, and that's one of the coolest things about like having an audience because it kind of puts you in check also. But I'm gonna move around here and work on this right there. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at my computer screen, and it looks like my phone is not moving as much as I thought because I'm scared that my desk is moving too much and it's moving the phone. I cannot wait to get my new setup. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be broadcasting in 4K. I'm going to have just awesome lighting on this stuff so you can really, really see it. So for the time being, it's just going to be this. But hopefully you all are learning something. That is the biggest thing. I don't care about all of that if you're not learning something. I got like years worth of teaching that I want to get out to everybody, and I can't do it in an hour. So we'll see what happens. Hey, what would be fun? These drawings, I think from start to finish, take about maybe 6 to 10 hours. What if I just did a 6 to 10 hour live stream? That would be nuts. I don't even think YouTube would allow me to do that. That'd be kind of fun to see, though. This does count as watch time hours, so maybe. It's funny. I've had this station or this channel for a very long time. Very, very long time. And it feels good to finally start putting some energy into it. I'm in it for the long haul now. Like, I see the momentum building and I'm just trying to reach as many aspiring artists as I can. I do not like how that's turning out. So I'm actually going to stop drawing on that area for a while and I'm going to focus on probably the leg here. Yeah. I can get frustrated too with my drawings. Whoa, what is happening with the focus? I'm not doing that, folks. Hold up. Let me turn the light on, see if that'll help. Did that do anything? Oh my gosh. What just happened? That was nuts. It looked like I just like woke up from a bad dream. That's what my eyes look like when I'm looking around the room. Did that just get better? What is happening? What is happening with the world? I don't know. I'm seeing Exorcist Believer tonight. So we'll see what happens on that. I'm seeing it by myself. I don't like seeing horror movies with people because nobody shuts up. And good luck seeing a PG-13 slasher flick without people talking in the theater. It's impossible. So I'm going to go by myself. Unbiased opinion. Although I believe, here's the thing. I'm a huge, huge fan of Exorcist, okay? I also understand that any director that takes on a sequel, good luck with it not affecting your career because The Exorcist is an anomaly. Okay, William Friedkin. Let me nerd out for a little bit, okay? William Friedkin is not a horror director. And I firmly believe that the best horror movies ever made are from directors that don't direct horror, with the exception of John Carpenter. John Carpenter is just a genius. Halloween, The Thing, like that dude knows what's up. But most of them don't direct horror. I mean, think about it. Spielberg, Jaws, William Friedkin, The Exorcist, Frank Darabont, The Mist. It's like Frank Darabont did Shawshank Redemption. So I don't know what to think about this movie. I'm going to go in unbiased. Looking at the chat. Okay. Having a whole drawing made in one session would be amazing. Man, listen, if I do that, I'm going to have like 2 intermissions, probably a food break, and I don't know if I'm going to drink Red Bull during it. Red Bull is not sponsoring me, although I do love Red Bull. I don't know. I think that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? A whole drawing like this, start to finish in 10 hours. Holy cow, man. That is a dedication. I don't know how that happened, but I think my lighting just got better now that I moved that. Yes, it did. Oh, I'm a happy camper now. That's good. By the way, all, thank you so much for sticking around. This is fun. Uh, as of right now, I'm going to be doing one live session per week, and that is going to be permanent. Unless my hand falls off or I'm out of town, I will be doing one per week. Now, I can't dedicate right now. I don't know what time I can do it because some weeks I'll have my boys and some weeks I won't. But it looks like afternoons may be the best bet, maybe on a certain day. If if I get enough votes, I wonder what day I can do it on. Actually, that's probably a good idea. I think I'll put that in the community tab soon. Like, what day would you all like me to see do the live stream based on availability of most people showing up? Of course, you can see this while I post it later. That's fine. And if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll get to them. Oh yeah, Rob, that's probably right. I think my hand did get in the way and my phone didn't know what to do. I'm pretty proud of this phone. I got this last year. It's a Google Pixel 6. I was a huge like T-Mobile fan for years. I did the Galaxy phones. And then I recently switched to Verizon. No offense to T-Mobile anymore, but ever since they partnered with Sprint, kind of went downhill. And I was dropping calls left and right. I couldn't text. Like, it was really bad. So I went with the Google phone, and I've been pretty happy with this. It takes really good pictures. Really good pictures. I don't know. Do you guys think that ever since that my phone adjusted again, that the picture is a little better? I think it is. That's kind of cool. All right. Oh, I don't know what it is about that pec, but I think I'm going to add some more veins into it just because I can. All right, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I like this material, this texture that's coming into his pec. Excuse me. I'm definitely going to have to show some more indications of that because there's going to be a lot going on with the skin. And I know that like those of you jumping in right now, it might look a little too smooth. And yeah, there's going to be some stuff happening like in between here where the breastplate is going to have some muscle striations where they attach. So I'm going to have to, break those off, pop those off a little bit so they pop out more within the shadow. Actually, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's say that you have a shadow area already established and you want to get a little darker to show something pop off of it. Okay, I will do that. So I'm just going to push a little harder with the side of my pencil, and I'm going to go back over it smoothly. And then that's what happens. And then you just kind of run the side of your pencil very lightly over it. And then you can start to see it. See, again, this is why I'm stressing, folks. This is why you lay the good foundation before you start putting in the details. Because look at this. Everything is being taken care of for me already. I'm just putting muscles left and right over here. Accurate ones, mind you, because I'm making sure that they are accurate. But the shading around the striations, it's already adding value to the skin. So it's not like muscles sitting on top of white paper. Okay. Of course, this is moleskin. So, Whacker, no, it is not Doomsday. This is actually a commission. Oh, you know what? It's funny you mentioned Doomsday. I've recently had this desire to start drawing comic characters, like the really crazy looking ones. And Doomsday was going to be the first one because I thought, you know what? I could draw Thanos because he's a creature technically, but Doomsday is just like this gigantic, crazy beast. He looked really bad in that movie with Ed Norton, like really bad. Was it Ed Norton or was it Eric Bana? I don't remember which version of Hulk. But I was really disappointed in that Doomsday because the comic version, has like these spikes coming out, just like I drew here. I think it was really cool looking. So I might do that. I wanted to draw Apocalypse. There's a lot of really cool beasts that I can draw, and I can draw Beast. Still have yet to draw Blanca from Street Fighter. Another one that I wanted to draw, honestly, is Baraka from Mortal Kombat. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think I can pull off a pretty good Baraka. And Cabal. Cabal used to be my favorite. See, now the core shadow is established, and I actually think core shadow, you know, what is this phone doing? Hold on a second. This phone, it is not focusing the way I want it to. I think it's auto-focusing. Let's see if I can turn that off. Just give me 1 second, guys. Nope, it's actually not. Okay, so let me tap my screen, see what happens. I think I stopped it. Okay. Good, the camera is not going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Great. That's what you got to do. See, you learn something new all the time. But anyway, yeah, Baraka, Cabal, all those really cool characters. I'm going to come down here because this muscle right here really pops off. You guys want to hear a horror story? I actually tore this muscle right here in the middle. It was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my life. I used to be a break dancer back in the day. Yep, believe it or not, I was a competitive break dancer. Did it for 15, 16, 17 years. I don't know. One day I was super sore. This was back in 2010. No, wait. No, it was way earlier than that. 2003. Yeah, 2003. And I was sore one night because I was going out clubbing with my buds, all the dancers. I was really sore the next day, and I was playing Frisbee the next day. I ran full speed with this muscle sore, and it tore. And if any of you have ever felt a torn muscle, may God have mercy on your soul. It was really bad. Let's see, there's going to be shadow here, so let me put that up. Quite a bit of shadow, actually. Okay. Izal, can you draw Jin Kazama? Yes. I can draw Kazama. I like him. Wait, is that from Tekken? I think it's from Tekken, right? Man, Tekken. I loved Tekken. Tekken Tag was my favorite. Yeah, Tekken. Tell you what, me and my friend used to play Tekken Tag all the time. And we got so good that before we would go out for the night, we are like, hey, you want to play Tekken Tag on Ultra Hard and see if we can beat it in 12 minutes? We're like, yeah, sure. He was always Xiao Yu. I was always either Eddie Gordo or Huarong, however you put it. He was awesome. I actually got good with Brian. I don't know how that happened, but I just got really good with his punching. It's funny. Man, I love that game. Oh, when he was Heihachi, I was like, screw you, Dave. I can't do that anymore. Okay, let's see how this is layering. Yeah, this is layering. Okay, so I kind of want to go back to this abdominal area. The details that I'm putting in of the abdominal area, now I'm going to start making it look like it's popping out at us. There's going to be specific areas where it looks like veins are coming out, like right there. I'm barely pushing my pencil down, and it already looks like a vein's popping across that abdomen. Okay, so that's what you want to do. And I'm just going to put some skin creases in here where I know the skin will be folding between each muscle group. Isn't that cool? That's what happens. So if you do a good job at layering your values, that's what's going to happen. So you could just kind of fade it off into there. Now notice how I'm gripping the pencil a little closer. That's okay. Like this. Now here's the fun part. So I have this ambiguous area right here. So what happens is there's actually a lot of fatty deposits that sit on this part of the abdomen, and then they just kind of fade off under here. But since this creature is pretty ripped, I can get away with putting some more shadow in here so the obliques can come down, or better yet, love handles. So that's what it's going to look like. Now notice, this is a pretty well-defined line, or area, I should say. It kind of looks like a bruise. I don't really want it to look like a bruise. Instead, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to slowly fade out using small, tiny circles. I'm going to fade the edges of the shadow out into the lighter part of the love handle until I'm convinced that it is faded enough to where it doesn't look like I just plopped on a black line and then that's that. Okay, so that actually doesn't look bad. I'm going to keep this darkness right in here because there is an indent on actual abdominal muscles of that happening. Now up in here, it really depends on what you want to do. You do have some creative freedom with, I should say, like the way muscles look on creatures that you make up. Like for example, obviously he's not a human, but you can get away with stretching some muscles out that look like they shouldn't go there. Because if you have just the base muscle, you're gonna be fine. Since that muscle wraps around here, I'm actually gonna I can use my 4B. Like this, I'm just gonna wrap it around. Right there. There we go. Okay, so the belly button area, I can put some more shadow in there and this is gonna come down. There we go. Okay, so now here's the fun part. This is what I love about abdominal muscles is that there's so much cool stuff happening in between each layer. So like here, the muscle could stop, but over on the direct other side, the muscle could be a little higher. So like they're never even. Sometimes like bodybuilders will have a split in between there like that, and I think that would look cool for this creature. So let's just put a little shadow in here and just kind of roll that shadow up into the abdomen. And then like up here where crazy stuff happens. Okay, so let's see. We have the part under the pec, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this needs to split just a little bit. See, I'm giving them an 8-pack. This part actually does open up a little bit. So let me put some thickness in that muscle. Okay, here's another fun part. The pec. Now I can actually make it more defined. So I'm just going to use my black Prismacolor. I'm going to go in under the I'm going to go in under here. And then I'm just going to very lightly and carefully darken right under here. Not so much over on the left side, but I'm going to do it on this side. Why? Because there's more of the muscle that's larger on this side, so it's going to overhang more. So I'm going to take my black Prismacolor and I'm going to go over that area with a darker tone, and then I'm just going to go like one stroke it. I'm just going to go under like this, because what that is that's going to be a cast shadow of the pec on that abdomen, like this. Now you can see the power of really layering your graphite and like all of the materials that you're using, because now the pec, it's going to sound corny, but there's life to the pec. It sounded so stupid, but yeah, that's what's happening. Okay, and now I'm going to take my 4B. This can actually get really dark under here, so I'm going to have to work on his armpit. But then I'm going to take the 4B and I'm just going to run some value across that black Prismacolor, and I'm going to fade the black Prismacolor down into the abdomen with the graphite. You see how the graphite's working with the wax of the colored pencil. So now this pec is closest to us because the body is ever so slightly turned. So that's why I'm not getting as dark underneath this one. All right. Let's see what I can do about this, because I don't want to get jet black in there, because what happens is this is the latissimus dorsi. So you're going to see some muscle in there because you got the rib cage. Yeah, the rib cage is here. There is thickness. So let's add some thickness there. And then under here, I got to be very, very careful with this area. So instead of going back and forth to where I don't have too much control at this angle, I'm just going to like do one-offs. I'm going to go dark light, dark light, dark light, and I'm going to keep layering that up. And I'm just going to go outwards because that's where light is being dispersed at the bottom of the lat muscle. Okay, so you can see now, this is where your training of contrast really comes in. You can see that the bicep and the armpit are getting very, very similar in tone. So that means that directly under the bicep, I'm going to have to get darker. Look what happened. Now it popped that bicep out towards me. So that's how you know if your values are correct. So now I'm going to take the graphite and I'm just going to slowly go at different angles across the wax. I say wax because that's what black prism color is made of, like this. Have I been drawing for an hour already? Look at that. That's crazy. All right. Oh, you know what? It looks like the drawing is right in the glare of that light. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, folks. Let me see if I can move it. It's kind of, ugh. Okay. I'm going to try a little experiment here. I'm going to turn the light away from the drawing, and I want to see how that affects it. It's going to get a little darker. I'm watching the screen to see what happens. Okay. I guess that's a little better, if that works for you all. Okay. Oh man. Next thing up, studio lighting. Jeez, criminy. Another kind of side note that I'm pretty excited about. You know, my station, I'm not doing this to get monetized. I'm doing this because I haven't done it forever and I love it. I love teaching. They did lower the monetization standards. So those of you that don't know, they still have the 500 subscribers now, and then 3,000 watch time hours if you want to get memberships to the YouTube channel and you get supers and stuff. You still have to get 4,000 watch time hours to have ads run across your YouTube channel, but they lowered it to at least get memberships. So that means that as soon as I get 3,000 watch time hours, I can have memberships to my channel, and I am super excited about that, specifically because that's when the real coaching comes in. And you will be able to subscribe to my channel to different tiers, depending on what you want to learn. Now, I do have different tiers in mind. I have one-on-one coaching for portfolios. That's going to be my biggest one, but also I will have, like behind the scenes stuff, what I do on a daily basis for my job. I'm really excited about it because it's my ability to teach students that may not have access to online school. And essentially I want to turn it into an online school. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've been teaching for a very long time, and I've been doing, creature design workshops. I've been teaching for CGMA for 7.5 years. And I feel like I want to do my own thing now. And I still love all of the other workshops and stuff. But like, if I can turn my YouTube channel into, like a legitimate school, that'd be really, really fun. Kind of like Mark Burnett. He's a hero of mine. I love Mark Burnett. Very talented artist. Super good painter too. Okay. Wow, it's looking cool. All right, folks. Okay, so that was my hour-long live drawing session. I'm going to be doing these every single week, okay? And listen, if you have any questions about this, after this is posted, still ask them in the chat, because I think they show up as questions when it's posted. And I try to respond to everybody's questions and comments that people post. I think that's really important to do. But it feels good to do this. Thank you all again so much for tuning in, for waiting. Thanks, Christian. I'm glad you're learning a lot, man. And like those of you that are just coming in, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna end the live session now, but you can see it when it's posted. It should be ready really soon. I'm gonna be doing this every single week. Every week. I will put in the community tab when I figure out what day that I'm going to have this every single week. So you all know and you can plan ahead to be there because you know, like life happens. We have kids, we got jobs, we got school, we got all kinds of stuff going on. So you want to make sure that you're, tuning in. I think really a lot of fun. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you all later.